One of my favorite instructional software tools is a Kahoot. So a Kahoot is a really cool way to combine the drill and practice teacher function with the gamification teacher function of instructional software to where the students really practice those concepts that you've taught them and really get that opportunity to kind of combine a healthy competition with making sure that they really understand the concepts. So the Kahoot also has a really cool feature called personalized learning, and it lets players practice the difficult questions after the game's over. So whether your class has missed a majority of one type of question versus another, they can practice those so that you can really make sure that they're knowing the concepts. So what you're seeing right now on your screen is the preview mode for the Kahoot. So on the device, what each student has is what the student sees, and then the other side with the purple screen with the Kahoot and the classic modes is what is being displayed on the big screen. So you have your personal devices and the big screen. So there are different game options that you can play. You have the classic individualized player. So that's when each student plays by themselves. That way you can kind of see which students and how many students are actually understanding the concepts. Or you can do a team mode with shared devices depending on what technology you have available at your school. So we're going to go ahead and enter into the classic mode so you can kind of see what that looks like. So a code's going to pop up on the screen and the students will enter that code in their device. So we're going to enter 3124170. So they'll click enter and then it'll ask for a nickname. So we're going to go ahead and put my name in there. If you let students use nicknames, you want to make sure that they're using things that are appropriate. You'll have to be on the lookout for that. I always make sure that students just use their regular name to make sure that that's not even a problem. So we're going to go ahead and start. And there are different types of questions you can ask. The first question, I actually used an embedded video to kind of give a different type of question for the students. So it's asking about the figurative language in the video. So what you're going to do is play the video clip that you embed. Turn up the volume so the students can hear.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die! You gotta let us play for it.
No.
Alright, so he's so fluffy, I'm gonna die. And the really cool thing about a Kahoot is if you put in a question, a video, a picture, it's not gonna start the timer until that portion is over. This gives all the students a fair chance, if you have a lower level learner or a slower reader, that everybody gets the same amount of time before they are asked to answer the question. So on the kids' devices, they see the colors and squares, so they have to click the one that corresponds to their answer. So on the big screen, they've got the hyperbole, personification, metaphor, alliteration that they're going to click, and they're going to click the box that matches theirs on their device. So I'm going to go ahead and click the red box. And once everybody is finished, or if the timer runs out, it's going to give you a quick overview of how many students answered which type of question. That way you can have time for a little bit of review in there. You can discuss the answers to the question and address why more students got the wrong question as opposed to the right question, or talk about different things like that. And if you'll notice on the student's device, there are point values. So if you decide to use point values, you'll get point values if they answer questions faster or correctly. So no points are awarded for incorrect answers, and more points are awarded the faster that you get the correct answer. So you can choose to turn this option on or off depending on how you want to play or depending on your students in your class. So we'll go ahead and click the next button, and that's all for the teacher. Every student, if you choose to do the scoreboard with the point values, you'll have the top students on the board. I'm the only player, so you can't really have a competition with the only player. But the teacher's in charge of moving to the next question. So this is just a general question. It has the same kind. We're going to go ahead and skip a couple of these. This specific Kahoot has 12 questions. So if you'll notice on the screen, the student says time's up. So that means they didn't answer the question, and you'll be able to see which students participate and which students are not. So it's kind of a good way to keep that anonymous, but also keep it in check. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to skip all the way to the end so you can kind of see what that looks like. It's sometimes a little bit of a process to skip through all of the questions, but it's kind of good if you are creating this Kahoot and you realize that there are some questions that you might have created that didn't quite cover the content the way you wanted, or students are really struggling from the beginning and you might have to go back and do a mini lesson that you weren't anticipating. So it's a good also way of not only doing like a summative assessment, but also a very formative assessment. You can really keep tabs on where your students are, making sure that they're getting certain concepts and they're understanding. So we are almost to the end. I have lots of questions in here, most of them academic. There's one at the very end that you'll get to see that I threw in there to kind of make sure students are paying attention, keeping them on their toes. But it's just a little fun question at the end. So we've got another video clip. You can do regular questions, video clips, different things like that. So the last question is just super fun. I just asked the students my favorite animal, and some of them knew, some of them didn't, so it was a really fun way to kind of end the Kahoot and keep them on their toes and engaged. So if you choose to do the competition option, you'll have the top 3 students on the board. You can give them a prize if you want. You can make that like a classroom incentive kind of a thing, something that the kids can look forward to. If competition's not a thing for you to implement in your class or your students don't like that, that is an option that you don't have to use. So it's really cool. So then you're going to just minimize the screen. You can get feedback. So the students can rate how they felt about the game, how they felt about understanding the content. So it's really cool. You can show the feedback, kind of see how everyone was feeling after they completed the Kahoot, whether they feel like they did a really good job. It's just another piece of a formative assessment really quickly. So that is kind of what the Kahoot looks like, and then it is over and you can discuss different things, but it's such a great technology tool to implement in the classroom. And the kids really have a good time. I have not been in a class that the students didn't love doing a Kahoot. So it's a real treat for them, and it makes technology a really great part of the classroom.